It's better to have more lidars, as one or two lidars in front of the vehicle have an impact on active safety. What is the level of BYD DiPilot 300 active safety system? You should have a better understanding after watching today's video. And welcome to Bigger Box from AutoLab. We recently tested the active safety and parking capabilities of BYD Han LEV and the Denza Z9 GT on the truck. Coincidentally, both cars are equipped with the DiPilot 300, but there are still some difference in hardware. And the most obvious one is that the BYD Han LEV lidar version uses one lidar on the roof, and while the Denza Z9 GT uses two, placed under the headlights. We will take these opportunities to look at the active safety capabilities of the DiPilot 300 and see if we can measure the difference between two models with slightly different hardware in the field test. Let's start with the conclusion. The performance of these two cars in the scenarios we set up is almost identical. The stationary positive rear project, the maximum speed of the both cars reached 110 km/h. And the non-motor vehicle crossing project, the results of both vehicles are 55 km/h. And the performance of non-motor vehicle crossings is still good, but once the difficulty level is raised, neither of these cars can handle it. For example, the two projects above are relatively traditional and very common scenarios. If we change the rear of the car to a 45-degree accident car, neither car will respond in the state of human driving. In high difficulty scenarios, such as a child suddenly running out in the dark against light, a wild animal crossing the road during the day, or a small cardboard box, the DiPilot 300 has no reaction. It also has no reaction to simulated road construction. So, to sum it up in one sentence, the active safety capabilities of the DiPilot 300 are currently at a level where it can handle normal scenarios. But once the target is not so normal, the system may not be able to handle it. And we also tested some low-speed scenarios, including the test of accidentally stepping on the accelerator when facing a stationary child or a cement pier in the forward and backward directions. At present, the AEB of DiPilot 300 does not have the ability to respond. Whether it is accidentally stepping on the accelerator or idling, a collision will occur. So we retested three of the projects in the state of high-speed LCC. One was accident vehicle at a 45-degree angle at night. The DiPilot 300, which had no reaction at all in the manual driving state, was able to brake at 130 km in the LCC state. For projects like guiding cones, the maximum speed at which it could respond reached at 80 km.
Okay.
In our test items, the only item that shows a gap between the two cars is the response to crossing wild animals in LCC state. And BYD Han LEV reached 35 km/h, while Denza Z9 GT reaches 45 km/h. So to some extent, this also confirms that the two lidars enhance the horizontal field of view of the laser point callout and will have a better perception effect on the horizontal crossing of this small problem, so that the actuator can respond faster. To prove this, I can show you the test data. And under the test condition of 55 km/h, it can be seen that the Denza Z9 GT starts to decelerate at 21.71 meters and finally avoid the collision, while the actual deceleration distance of the BYD Han LEV is 16.72 meters. Although it decelerates, the distance is insufficient and finally cleared. So the value of two lidars is reflected here. After all, we often shuttle through urban area and parking lot at a speed of 30 to 40 km/h. If it's not a wild animal but a child, the situation will be very dangerous. And finally, there is a parking project. The role of lidar is not very obvious that in the conventional parking function. There is basically no difference in the performance of these two cars. There are only differences in some details, experiences, such as the speed of the time and the standard of the final posture. For perpendicular parking spaces, whether there are cars on both sides, on one side, or on grass break parking spaces at night, and both cars can park safely and independently. The same goes for parallel parking spaces, whether they are parking spaces on both sides or a curb on the roadside. The function works fine and parking is normal. But because the Denza Z9 GT is equipped with the E4 technology, there are also some unique features in the side parking scenario. So the only difference lies in the requirements of the two cars for the ultimate parking distance. BYD Han is more lenient than Denza Z9 GT in the requirements for the width of the vertical parking space. For example, BYD Han L can park in the space only 60 cm wider than the car, or 30 cm on each side, while the Denza Z9 GT requires a space at least 80 cm wider than the car. The same goes for parallel parking. BYD Han L can park in a space that is only 80 cm longer than the vehicle, while the Denza Z9 GT requires a space that is at least 150 cm longer than the vehicle. And that's all for this issue of the Intelligent Driving report. If you want to see other models, please leave a message in the comment section. And this is AutoLab. See you next time.